for people who are considering making a pitch with the largest strategic companies that exist, learning from watching somebody else's pitch based on the niche that they're going after in order to be successful. Technology and innovation, very excited to see inventors, investigators, entrepreneurs. That's fascinating, really providing guidance to people and companies and firms and entrepreneurs that want to develop products that address an unmet clinical need.
I'm delighted to have my esteemed panel and our guests this evening. As I thought about this next section and prepared for our topic, I saw their presentation and it caused me to ask the question, what if we could free ourselves, surgeons, from the tether of cables and wires during arthroscopy and general surgery as well? How much more freedom, ease, safety for the surgeon, as well as all the ancillary personnel in the operative suite or the ambulatory surgery center? How much could that afford us in the OR? Our next presenter is going to be Lee Brownlee, the president of Lazurite, and we're going to see their video pitch next. Thank you.
Arthro-free came about from an incident that I actually witnessed in a surgical suite. I actually saw a PA trip over the cables that were there from the camera and really badly hurt herself. That actually led me to consider, why are there all of these wires in an OR? Solving it took a number of years, a significant amount of innovation. What became arthro-free really ended up focusing on the two primary cables that you need, or the system that you need, in order to do surgery.
They said, look, we've developed a light source. We are pretty sure we can build a wireless arthroscope. What do you think about that? And I just started laughing, and I said, are you kidding me? That's all my OR team and I have talked about for the last 10 years. And now we have a prototype and we've been taking it around to show people.
I think this company has a real jump on everyone because the hardest part of making an arthroscopic system wireless is the light source. Arthro-free developed their own light engine that is patented, and it's going to be really hard for other companies to come up with a way around that.
A confluence of high quality caliber founders, management team, investment pool, and ultimately they're doing real science in a unique way to disrupt a niche of healthcare.
Most arthroscopy companies are simply looking to develop higher and higher quality pictures. The pictures are great. It's making the whole surgery work smoothly. That's what's important to getting the right result.
I just got my first opportunity to play with the arthro-free camera system. Very light, easy to handle, and there are no wires.
It's going to improve safety of patients. There won't be the fires and potential burns. It's going to improve OR efficiency, and then of course with less equipment, it's going to be less costly.
Really, arthro-free is only the first step on this journey, because if we can free the surgeon from these wires, what other things can we do to really improve surgeon and patient lives?
Well, terrific video, terrific opportunity there. In this round, I've spun my magic spinner here, and we're gonna start with Tony on the first round here. So please, Tony.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. And Leah, it's a delight to have the opportunity to be with you here today. This is a technology that I have been following for about a year and a half. And the direction that you're going, I think, is a very smart one. Tell us about how you are approaching the value equation to ambulatory surgery centers that are very high volume arthroscopy users.
Thanks, Tony, for your question. And, also a quick thanks to Robin Young and Orthopedics This Week for this program. So with regard to ambulatory surgery centers, especially the high volume. One of the winning propositions from not having cables attaching your surgical camera to your tower is you don't need to set up the cables, you don't need to tear down the cables. They also don't tether the surgeon during surgery, and so you save minutes, but those minutes add up during the day. And I can ask Dr. Williams, who's a former orthopedic surgeon, to speak to this as well. But when you add up your minutes during the day, you add a case at the end of the day. So that's our hypothesis as far as the efficiency gained. In addition to that efficiency of time, you have efficiency of other efficiency of resources, power resources, cleaning resources, replacement. So you're not replacing cables. You save money by having less replacement parts on your camera. Our light takes 4 watts of power. We charge the battery. The light in the light box today for Stryker's LED box, 400 watts. You change the platform of power that's used by the camera. So it's a green technology overall. And you save little bits here and there from efficiency to cost in using the system. You're not buying that light box. You're not buying that video box. You're taking the system, you can hook it up directly to an existing patient data console, directly to the surgical monitor that's in the space. You're saving space on the floor.
Now, a second question. Just about everyone who's doing arthroscopy today already has the old system, meaning the system with cables. So how do you deal with that?
So arthroscopic camera systems or endoscopic systems have a 3 to 4 year replacement life cycle. This is great from a business plan because about a quarter of the market comes up to buy new products every year. Our system is drop-in compatible with all current systems. So if an ASC wants to test it in one operating room, not completely replace their systems, they can use the scopes they currently own. They can use their surgical monitors that they currently own and their patient data console. They can try it without a huge capital commitment. And moving forward in a replacement cycle, they can phase it in as other system parts get phased out in their typical replacement cycle.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. I was actually vacillating between whether I would go to Audrey or Mike next, but we're going to go with Audrey next.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, Leanne. Thanks for being here. And my question's a bit technical here on the laser and how long it lasts. And does it need any special servicing? And what would be the failure mode of the laser? Like, is there a chance that it could burn out during a case? And what kind of impact would that have on the patient?
Oh, absolutely. So the laser lasts typically as long as an LED would last. So we're looking at a multi-year cycle, and the camera is expected to be in use without problems 3 to 4 years. That being said, an operating room system, so if you have a camera and the event of the laser no longer working to create the light happens, every operating room kit has 3 to 4 cameras, depending on the size of the ASC and what their volume of patients. So you can replace it with another camera.
And any chance of the laser performing in a way that harms the patient during a case?
No. So the system, and I'm going to hold up the shell here. So this is, let me see if I can get it without the blur. So this silver part encases the laser. This mounts on the light input of the scope. The laser is at the tip here, and it shoots to a volumetric suspension of phosphor in a polymer, which then illuminates. That laser is completely encased. If it burned out, you're going to stop having light, but there is no harm.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about your regulatory pathway and timing?
Absolutely. So we are at this moment finishing up our testing for validation testing, and we'll be submitting our 510K under the HRX pathway by end of year. Right now, shameless, commercial for MICRA, who's been our regulatory advisor for 5 years. So they're advising 6 to 8 months is the cycle they're seeing for these type of devices. So we're looking at launching mid next year. And to Tony's earlier point, very first thing we're doing, day one is an efficiency study in a pilot site.
Great, thank you.
Step up.
Sure, I'll ask. So I have some questions about the device itself, Leah. I think the idea of bringing wireless technology to an ASC or an operating room suite is a great idea. So is there any part of that that's disposable? I saw there's a component that pulls out. I'm assuming the video piece of it.
This is the battery.
Battery.
It is a rechargeable, sterilizable battery.
So So there is no disposable component to this.
There is no disposable component.
Okay. And is there any? So have you? Are there other applications that you're going to start considering, or is your focus going to be completely joint arthroscopy for the moment?
I'll ask Jim if he wants to.
Yeah, let me go over a couple things. The reason that wireless could not be performed, and a couple other companies have tried to do it, is because of the light source. And we actually tried to do it with an LED light. And the problem was the heat was too high and the battery life wasn't more than a couple minutes. So by inventing a completely novel light source, that was how we were able to do this. So as Leah said, we're 1% of the, energy cost of a current camera system. During the case or during the time you're playing with this or using it, after a few minutes, it gets X amount of hot, just warm enough so that if your hands were really cold on a day, it would feel good to hold this. It never gets hotter than that, okay? So the laser is never going to be a problem as far as burns or any of those issues go. So from a patient standpoint, it's clearly safer. It adds value to the patient because you're under anesthesia for less time. It adds value to the nurses because it takes less time to set up and take down. It adds value to the people who are in the reprocessing center because they have less to reprocess. It has value to the administrators, whether it's a hospital ASC or a in-office arthroscopy or endoscopy or cystoscopy area, because it doesn't cost as much. And then on top of that, you save time. Typically, it takes the nurses 5 to 7 minutes to set up all the cables in a routine arthroscopic case, and at least a few minutes to take it down. But this is something that they came to me in 2014, and we had been thinking about why wasn't there wireless since the early 2000s. So, nobody's been able to do this. And like I said, had to think out of the box to come up with a completely novel light source. And by the way, it is 15 to 20% more efficient than LED lights on top of it. So the light source in and of itself is a very special product.
We started with orthopedics with the name Arthro-Free, but orthopedics aren't the only surgeons that use minimally invasive cameras. So right now we are working with trauma and GI surgeons and minimally invasive spine, defining those markets for secondary and tertiary market entries.
Terrific, thank you. Have you found any challenges managing the wireless transfer of the imagery? Are there RF interference issues? Are there? There's a lot of electronics in an operating room, and that's why I asked.
Absolutely agree. And I have to say, the reason why nobody else has done this is that it's not easy. So we did we did overcome a lot of engineering problems along the way. With regard to the electronic transfer, we have a point-to-point encrypted system that we borrowed from NASA. It's a military-grade technology that doesn't exist in operating rooms. And so we don't have any interference problems. And I can say, since we're in our validation testing, we have the reports back today from that validation testing that says there is no interference. The other thing we approach in the wireless transfer that has prevented competition from reaching here is latency. Right. So we spent a lot of 12 to 18 months cleaning our code and making it so that there is no perceptible latency in the transfer of that image.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for going almost full nerd on me. I appreciate that. So for Leah and Jim, I've been through the website, been through the materials that are available. And for those people that may not be really clear, you've explained how one of the benefits is the elimination of the tower. Yet, as I've seen it, many of these towers, they're required for the printing, for the record keeping, for the documentation. Can you provide some additional clarity on what you mean by that?
We still need a place to put our monitor. We still need a place to put our patient data console. I absolutely agree with you. Those are integral parts to the surgery. However, you don't need your tower crowding in to your area in your operating room. You can create a freedom of movement when you don't have to be tethered by the cables.
Speaking of excitement, let's now move to our voting section. So now we have an opportunity to ask the audience what they think. Do they think this is going to be a game changer? Does it need more work, or do they need to go back to the drawing board? We have about 30 seconds for our attendees to vote. 57% think it's a game changer, and 30% think you're going to change the standard of care. So that really leaves just 10% think you need more work. I'm not sure who those people are that think you need more work. Maybe they're super finicky, super nerds. But I would say, you're really onto something, and I'm encouraged. I'm delighted to see. I wish I had been involved early on. That's my comment. I'll turn it back to, let's start with Tony for another comment.
Well, thank you. First of all, Leah, congratulations. And come back and visit with us. We'd like to take a closer look at what you're doing now. But before you do that, I do want to comment that I think it would be very important to collect data on what it costs prior to the surgery for the surgery center to use the cable systems, because that is going to be a big issue, I think, in the cost, not just the OR time, but the pre-OR and the post-OR time. Lastly, I will say, I'll make a prediction. I think 100% of arthroscopy will migrate to wireless or cable-less systems, 100%. It happened with television. It happened with telephone. It's going to happen with arthroscopy. You're on the right path.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tony. Mike?
Look, I think I agree with Tony's comment. It's a very exciting technology. If it pans out and it delivers everything you say it's going to deliver, it'll get adopted. 100% may take time, but the fight will be worth the reward will be worth the fight.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike and Audrey. Bring us home.
Same thing. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I love these kinds of innovations that make life simpler for everybody in the OR and save cost and benefit the patient. So I definitely think you're on the right track, and I see a lot of benefits even outside of operating rooms, other arenas where this technology would be useful and valuable. So hopefully you get some time to look into those as well.
Yeah.
I'll close by saying I'm delighted that you're representing Cleveland. As I understand, it's also my hometown, so it's not that Cleveland is a vast wasteland. Cleveland can be a source of tremendous technological opportunity. So congratulations to all of you. Well, I think we've had a great show tonight. We've seen two fantastic technologies. The last here from Lazurite, or one of their key products, ArthroFree. Information is available here if you want to contact them directly. You can see that here. So we learned a lot tonight. I know that I learned something. I hope that everybody else in the audience learned something. I'd like to remind people to register for the next pitch. It'll be 4 weeks from now. It'll be the same time on November 11th. And between now and then, feel free to log on to YouTube. You can go to the OTW broadcasting site, Orthopedics This Week. I'd like to thank Robin for hosting this, for managing and assembling and curating these fantastic presentations tonight. And I wish everybody a wonderful evening. So thank you all so much. And until next time, next month, we'll see you then.